Welcome back to another episode of Don't Take Us Seriously. Today, we're going to be talking about a legend, a living legend at that. We're talking about someone that's been the face of the NBA for a better part of 20 years. We've got here, some call him, like my family does, the King. Others call him GOAT James, if you're Shannon Sharp. But most of y'all know him as Lebron James. He just hits an amazing milestone, y'all. Now, I know we're a little late to the party. We still got to speak our piece on it. He just broke the scoring record. That was a record that has been standing the test of time for years. It's the highest single accolade that an NBA player can do. So, we had to rep for LeBron for the one time, just to make sure that you guys knew we're from Ohio. We got to rep for Ohio. This statistical record it's just impressive. It's not just this record that makes this so great because his career's not done, but he's already top 5 in categories, or when it's all said and done, he's going to be top 5 in a few categories. We just got to appreciate the King while we still can. So
we were all kids when LeBron came out, but do you remember the Sports Illustrated cover, The Chosen One? Imagine the expectations of an 18-year-old, just a kid from Akron. We're from Akron, Ohio, so we know how much of the outside world we did not know. Now, here is a kid, he gets drafted to this local team and is now expected to be the savior. I can only imagine the pressure of the situation that he was put in. He did not have the college experience to know what bright lights look like. I admit his high school games were all sold out just to see him. Still, it is different when all eyes are just on you. Not just the eyes of fans, also the players. He came in with a bullseye on his back from all the media he was getting. The expectations were so astronomical. LeBron not just lived up to those expectations, but took it to another level beyond comprehension.
And I just want to rehash. When I was saying before about the categories that he's going to be top 5 in, that's assists, that's steals. He's already number 1 in points. This is insane. This is paramount. This isn't something that we see, guys. This is incredible. And to make matters worse, just to show the teams that he's destroyed along the way, there have been coaches that he's been dismantling. There have been dynasties that were beginning to be formed that he destroyed. There's no other way to really put it. I mean, you got the Boston Celtics. They got taken out with KG and Ray Allen and Rajon Rondo. They were done. The Detroit Pistons, they thought they were going to be something. They got taken out after winning the chip just because LeBron came to town. I mean, you got other coaches, Mike Woodson, Dwayne Casey. Oh, let's not forget, Doc Rivers. These are just coaches that were just taken out just because of the greatness, which is LeBron. And it's not fair that these coaches had to be taken out by this man. He was known as a one-man freight train. It was incredible. It really was. You also look at the MVPs that he was able to get. He was just rattling them off. And you look further into the deeper of the analytics, he started to compete with himself. That it really didn't make much sense when you look at it. Why didn't he just get it for 6 or 7 straight years? It's because they used to compare his greatness to his own greatness as opposed to just comparing it to others. Hey, it is what it is. It's unfair, but when you're that great, it looks like other guys, they just got to get the MVP, and it can't all just be LeBron.
Well, LeBron James has single-handedly brought revolution after revolution to the NBA. The 2012-2013 Miami Heat introduced the world to small ball basketball, playing without the center. The Spurs, after getting beat by the Heat in 2013, took to the next level with Boris Diaw. Nobody remembers, as power forward and also being able to play small. The Spurs unleashed the small ball with 2 seconds or less passing game and outside shooting. Guess what happened next? Golden State took the blueprint to the next level and brought three-point revolution that is the modern NBA.
We also go back and we look at what he was able to do with the 2015 and 2016 Golden State Warriors team when he was on the Cavs. It was incredible. I mean, he was taking this pick and roll in order to get the weak link, who happens to be the smallest man, who happens to be Steph Curry, and he was able to expose it. I mean, you look at it, he was switched the most within that series. It was 80 times, guys. I mean, if you're just going to do this and just exploit the matchup, you have to try and find a way to beat it. And guess what? Golden State had to find a way, and they looked at the high tag pick and roll technique, where, just to kind of break this down, not to get too much in the weeds for you guys, that's when a pick and roll happens, and then the help side defender on the strong side, he helps early. That way that he can try and cover that roller. And then that also gives him time to be able to kick out and get over to the guy in the corner and the guy on the wing that's going to be there. That's normally his man. But they're literally creating defenses that you have to execute at a high level just to stop this man's two-man game. Because when that's Kyrie or Tristan Thompson, there's nothing you can do. All you have to do is just sit back and pray that he makes the wrong decision, because he's the best facilitator the game's ever seen.
LeBron himself has also evolved from the first time he came into the league. He started as a physical freak who did most of his damage by just barreling through the defenders to the basket. Soon teams learned to crowd this path. Then he learned how to shoot consistently from the outside. His defense didn't even evolve until a few years into the league. Then teams tried to push him out, so he learned how to shoot threes. If you look at the shooting percentage, it went up every year. He mastered his craft. He learned new things to compensate for strategies opposite teams were deploying. The Spurs and Mavericks were huge in the evolution of LeBron, but he evolved. He is one of the best off-balance shooters in the current day.
You know what, guys? I can't picture a guy that has evolved and adapted constantly like LeBron James has. I mean, you look at this, and he has just transformed within eras within his time that he's been playing. You look at what he was able to do, and I know I touched on it briefly, but just to go a little bit more into it. You look at what he was able to do against those Detroit Pistons. 23 straight points? I mean, it was incredible. In a playoff game, he was like 24, 25 years old. And then you go and look at how he was able to, he went up against the Orlando Magic. He fell short one year, and he overcame them another year. But regardless, you go and you look at what he was able to do against these Boston Celtics, dismantled them. You go and look at what he did to the Toronto Raptors. That was a good team. Like, it's not DeRozan's fault that he couldn't get past the GOAT. I'm sorry, it's not his fault. What he did to Frank Vogel and Paul George and the Pacers. This is just greatness at its finest, and I hope that we appreciate it more for the next day.
As great as he is, this kid, I worry that his last years in the NBA career might be going to waste. He deserves more championships, but it's doubtful he's ever going to win another one. At age 38, the Lakers are near the bottom of the conference. They are team 13 of 15. It's not looking good for the team to make the play-in tournament, let alone the playoffs. Greatness is often measured in championships, and it looks like LeBron is going to stall out at 4. Maybe we take a look at some of the reasons here.
Number 1. LeBron, the GM, aka Le GM. This is something that LeBron has been meddling with too much. I'll give him credit. Early on, he made it work. With the Heat, he's always found a way to make his way, to make his way with everything and be able to push the envelope. He was able to get Chris Bosh and, pair up with Dwayne Wade, and he got himself a ring. And he goes back to Cleveland. He trades away Wiggins. He gets K-Love in there with Kyrie, and hey, look what you get. You get yourself a ring. And it worked those years, but there are other years that it didn't turn out too well, because although he did get a ring in order to force that, he got a ring after forcing that trade with AD, he also played a part in getting Russell Westbrook over to the team, which that's a stain on your resume, because if you just listen to management, that's $90 million, that's a $90 million mistake, and that's a big mistake. He wasn't a good fit. Everyone knew he wasn't a good fit. And because of this trade, LeBron, you may have just put a big stain on your legacy and wasted some real good years that we could have seen.
Reason number 2, KD, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant has easily taken at least one of LeBron's championships. His signing with the Golden State Warriors may have to be one of the most cowardly moves ever seen by a professional athlete. Golden State team already had been to the championship the last 2 years. And just the year before KD joined them, they broke the record for the most wins in a season. LeBron's legendary heroics were the only reason that Golden State couldn't win a second championship. If someone hasn't seen those games, you owe it to yourself to watch the highlights of those 7 games on YouTube. They may be the greatest 7-game series in NBA history. Ranks with the Lakers versus Celtics NBA series in 2008. With KD joining that historic Golden State team, they just became the Death Star and cruised to 2 championships before KD's sensitive heart got broken by Draymond Green.
And number 3, I got to blame the Lakers management for this. I know we give him some hate here. We got to give Rob Pelinka some hate here as well. You should have never made that trade for Russell Westbrook. You should have put your foot down. You should have said, no, that's not going to happen, because you also had the possibilities of going out there to be able to maybe get DeMar DeRozan, who wanted to come to LA. And then you also had the likes of being able to potentially go get Buddy Hield in free agency. You could have got one. You're probably not going to get both of them, but you could have got one. You signed Alex Caruso, maybe KCP, and you got yourself a solid team with depth. And you could have kept your picks that you could have used for free, that you could have used now at the trade deadline in order to figure something out at the end. But instead, now you're stuck with this team. You're low in the ranks, and well, we're going to see what ends up happening from this. It's unfortunate, because someone should have sat him down and been like, nah, we're not going to do this. And we want to end your career the right way. Trust us. Let us do our job. You do yours.
The current Western Conference is all loaded up. With the KD trade to the Suns and Kyrie to the Mavs, LeBron's Lakers are left empty-handed. I did hear the Nets really were wanting more from the Lakers than other teams for Kyrie. It was like they disliked sending Kyrie to the Lakers, even though they might have been a better deal than what the Mavericks offered him. The whole KD trade seems like Golden State Part 2. Go to an already loaded team and cruise to some championships without effort. But then again, no one accused KD of having the heart of a champion, more the heart of a cowardly way out. He is now surrounded by a talented roster and just went to the finals the year before. So, KD, you've done it again.
Yeah, and I got to give some credit too to the refs, because you look a little deeper here, and they're near the bottom of the barrel here. And there's 5 games that have, you can go back and look. There were 5 games that the refs clearly interfered with that could have resulted in wins for this team, and that's a big deal. That's probably gonna come back to bite you and come back to haunt you, even with this retooled, reloaded roster at this point. It might be too little, too late, and it's unfortunate, because you look a little further, and I don't want to discount his greatness, because some of these calls, would happen. This might end up leaving, a skid mark on his resume that I don't want to have to answer to, because he's still the GOAT in my eyes. That's not going to change nothing. But he is going to have to answer to this because of the fact that he forced his hand with this trade. But I want to put a little bit of a button on this. We look back at what he was able to do with Cleveland, and we also look at what he's continued to do. Every time he comes back home to play in Cleveland, he finds a way to gut it out. He plays when he's hurt. He doesn't want the fans to feel like he doesn't want them to feel like they're losing experience, because he knows how much these guys pay for it. And he knows that about all the fans, not just Cleveland. So I want to give him his kudos for his greatness now in that regard, because that's something that gets overlooked. That's an old school mentality that he still, pushes to the forefront today.
And I think there's a desensitization to LeBron's greatness. We see it all the time, so we take it for granted, and not to realize how great he was until he is gone. This man has played more father-son duos and whipped both generations. Did you see the clip? Jabari Smith Jr. says, "You played against my father." LeBron says, "Shit, I'm old." Then he finds the dad and hugs it out. If you saw the picture of the father and LeBron, you would be like, the dude aged quickly.
And we can't forget about the 3-1 comeback in the finals in 2016. That was phenomenal. I mean, that block should be immortalized into a statue. and also, I'll give credit to Kyrie as well, because he hit the shot of shots as well. That finals was incredible. It's the greatest thing that I've ever seen. I mean, the entire city of Cleveland was in pandemonium. It just goes to show you that if you want the greatest moments to happen, you can only look at the king.
He brought the championship to Cleveland, a forlorn city craving for a championship for over a century of games between their football and basketball teams. The Cavs might make it to the playoffs for the first time in 20 years without LeBron. That is how inept they have been for a long time.
And I know that the MVP awards has gone to anyone but LeBron for a long time. And I'm not going to sit here and say that he needs to get another one, but I am going to say that y'all have been some haters in the past. But let's keep in mind here, though, he may not win another ring. This might be it. This might be how we see the king ride off into the sunset. But if that's the case, let's just celebrate this closeout part of LeBron's career. Let's not forget everything he's done for the NBA. Mm-hmm. And let's just appreciate it while he's still here. Long live the king. All right, y'all. It's been another episode of the Don't Take It Seriously podcast. Thank you guys for viewing in. I know it took us a while to get to the NBA, but please like, comment, subscribe. Any other suggestions that you guys have. Is LeBron your GOAT? Leave that in the comments below, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.